Jay here, this is Scotty and Motty, and we've got a special edition. First of all, how are we doing, Scotty?
I'm all right.
Yeah?
Yeah, what's that for?
What's that? What are you starting trouble for already? What do you mean, what's that for? Introducing
you. Do you want me to say sorry about my granddad passing away? Was that the sort of intro?
No, sorry.
It's a bit of a subtle, that, isn't it?
Anyway, about that, yeah. Sorry. Are you okay?
I'm all right, yeah. Thank you very much.
And my condolences.
Thank you very much.
We have discussed this.
I did want to make a not to actually, because we talk about United a hell of a lot on this podcast.
We are going to be talking about Manchester United and Erik ten Hag, by the way, but go on.
No, because my granddad was a Hamilton Accies fan. It's Accies, isn't it? Is that Academia?
Hamilton Academicals.
Yeah. So he was one of them fans, but he let my dad be a United fan. So had he not, I don't know if I'd be following Scottish First Division football.
Oh, right. Okay. So we can debate whether that's a positive thing for you right now. Or negative, to be honest with you. We'll get into all that, and my condolences. Also joining us for this special edition is Mr. Terry Christian. How are we doing?
All right. Old enough to be someone's granddad, sadly.
I will ask you a question, right? What do you think will happen first? Manchester United winning the Premier League, or you getting your YouTube channel up and running?
Me getting my YouTube channel up and running, and City getting relegated. Both those things.
Keep your eye out, because Terry's got a lot of interviews that are going to be coming out very soon. Trust me on that front. He's got a right smorgasbord of different ones. But first of all, we're going to talk about Erik ten Hag, Manchester United. Scott, I'll start with you.
Yep.
We've spoken about this extensively over the last, probably about the last 7 or 8 months, when the wheels started coming off in the league last season. It looked like going into this season okay, you know, on a positive note after the transfers, and it seemed like there was a real sort of air of expectation considering the FA Cup win. However, the results haven't been good enough. We're 14th in the league. We've had 2 underwhelming results in Europe as well. And let's face facts, even though the Barnsley result was emphatic, it was against very poor opposition. So 2 questions. First of all, do you think he's going to go? And if he does, who do you think is coming in?
I think that he's going to go. I don't think it will be as immediate as I sort of expected post the Villa game or the Spurs game. I thought it could have gone at the end of that. I think after the meeting yesterday, Ineos still want to be looked to make a knee-jerk reaction. I don't think there's an obvious replacement out there. I think if they were to get Ruud van Nistelrooy in straight away, it's much for muchness. I don't think you're going to get a huge bounce, although the fixtures post the international break are quite favourable. So I imagine you'd hope whoever's in charge might get some results, although we're playing Brentford and we haven't been too successful against them recently. But I just think that the cards are marked for Ten Hag, and you can look back last season with the injuries that have sort of plagued him and his performances and results. But you come to this season, made new signings, he's had more or less a full-strength team. We're going up against Aston Villa at the weekend. The majority of the players on the bench are ones that he's signed, and he's relying on 2 defenders that last season weren't good enough to get points, but this season are. And there just seems to be a lot of confusion in terms of what the players are supposedly doing. We signed Ugarte, can't even get in the starting lineup. De Ligt doesn't look like the player that we'd hope to be. Obviously, it's early doors. Xerxes, there's potential there, but is he going to get us goals? Goals is a huge problem when we look at the likes of Højlund and Rashford. Why aren't they scoring? These are strikers that have scored goals in the past, but they can't seem to be able to click. And from the Onana at the back to Højlund up front, it just doesn't seem to make much sense. 2.25 years later after he'd signed, there's a real lack of identity at Manchester United. Now you compare that to the likes of Unai Emery, who took over an Aston Villa team that were far worse than the Man United team that Ten Hag had. And he's punching above weight in terms of what he's got available, the results that he's getting, beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League, and they're looking like favourites for the top 4 this season. Ten Hag had a better squad, and we don't seem to have moved on. We've got a couple of trophies, but then when you look at the runs that we've had towards them finals were favourable. The Man City game was an outlier amongst a whole sort of career as Man United manager that has been, you said, underwhelming, and that's at best.
Underwhelming at best. What do you think of Ten Hag so far? I mean,
I think...
Have you been impressed, underwhelmed? How have you felt about him?
I mean, I quite like annoying my 2 lads at the games, because I'm Ten Hag in just to hear them moaning all the way home.
You've got the revisionist.
No, it's quite funny, you know, like they like texted me when United were 3. Can we go now, Dad? I said, no, wait till the 85th minute. You've got to, you know. Listen, no one really knows what goes on at United. It's not like any other club. It's not like walking into an Aston Villa. You know, the expectations are so much higher. And I look at the the team that Ten Hag took over at United, it wasn't a particularly good squad. You know, on paper, you know, I would argue, is Højlund or Xerxes actually better than Anthony Martial? You know, really. You know, we knew that Martial was capable of scoring, you know, 20-odd goals a season if he felt good about himself and on his day. We don't know if they are yet. You know, I think of when Fergie went to United, when Fergie took over that Ron Atkinson team, we just had a bit of a bad start to the season. There was quite a few injuries, but that squad, these are the players he had. Brian Robson, Remy Moses, Frank Stapleton, Norman Whiteside, Paul McGrath, you know, Mike Duxbury, Arthur Albiston still playing well. You know, Clayton Blackmore coming through. He had much better players. You know, Ten Hag, really, there's not really the players at United. And I think if you blame Ten Hag, you've got to look at, okay, maybe some of his... But then who's okayed those transfers? And perhaps that whole Ineos coming in has undermined him right away. So if he was having any difficulty with the players anyway, now it's even more difficult because it's almost like he's having his homework marked every week. And you couldn't imagine them doing that to Fergie. You know, I mean, even with Big Ron, we like Big Ron. I was upset when Ron Atkinson got the sack. But what I do remember was this Irish bloke, you know, because our local, Throssell's Nest in Old Trafford, this Irish bloke who used to go in there, old Mr. Moore, he works in the offices for years, and he used to say to us, he said, that Ron Atkinson, he smells like a tart. No wonder we can't... How are players going to play and win the league for a bloke who smells like a tart because he wore aftershave? So that's why we never won the league.
Was Ron Atkinson's undoing, though, that he couldn't like put a league campaign together? Because he was successful in the cup.
No, just really unlucky in injuries. You know, I mean, he nearly won the league managing Aston Villa, didn't he, with the first year that we won it? He had a good system. He wanted to buy Terry Butcher to team him up with Paul McGrath. You know, I mean, that would have been amazing. That would have given us the best centre-half partnership in Europe. But, and Bobby Charlton at the meeting apparently said, well, he's no better than what we've already got, which was Kevin Moran. And he actually was, wasn't he?
Yeah. But you make the point there about the Ten Hag inheriting a side that was worse than Ferguson did in the 80s. He's had 2 and a bit years now, and a lot of signings have been his. So
there's not been signings.
He's spent how much money has he spent?
But again, the spending money. I mean, nobody spent more money than your old mate Mourinho. And not only did
my old mate won the Europa League, though. You know,
we've just won 2 trophies.
Finished second or Carabao Cup.
Finished second with a team that should have a squad that should have.
Is there not an element though, right, of Jose, Fergie, whatever? Right, I get the reason you mentioning them both, right? But
no. What I'm saying is
where we are now.
Jose spent that money when he already had a team that had Carrick, Rooney, you know, Smalling, Jones, I think...
Did you just mention Jones as being like a good player? It wasn't a great player, though, was it? Anyway, what about today? What about now?
Let's revise. I mean, now, I just think the team themselves, they seem to be playing slightly better football than they were. I thought we were very unlucky against Crystal Palace. I didn't think we were absolutely dreadful against Spurs. I thought Bruno's had a terrible season so far. Garnacho's had a terrible season so far. Those players will improve. I think they need a rest. I was glad to hear that Garnacho's not going off on the international break. Neither is Mainu. Who else is staying out of that? So the more the better. Because, you know, I think they need a rest. The very young lads. I still think we're lacking that creative midfielder. We let Pogba go, whether you like him or not. Pogba's a big star. We should be buying a player of that level, not Ugarte, not Christian Eriksen on a free. We should be getting a central midfielder who is rated world class, the way that Pogba was and could be on his day. And we haven't done that. We've got worse and worse and worse with our signings.
But you make the point, like, is Bruno not the creative outlet that we hoped Pogba would be within that engine of Manchester United?
If you stuck a Pogba mask on Bruno, they'd have been crying for him to get rid of about 2.5 years ago. He's so wasteful with the ball, in my opinion. I think he's a real luxury player.
I agree with you, but you make the point there that you don't know, like so-and-so's having a bad game, so-and-so's having a bad game. But if it's one individual player that's having bad form, then I understand that argument. but it's across the board now.
It's the confidence levels go, don't they?
But the manager has to instill that confidence in his team. The thing is, he's been over a year. Just 1 minute, Terry. It's been over a year, and the only decent performance that I've seen under Ten Hag at Manchester United over the past 12 months was that FA Cup final against Man City. There hasn't been an overwhelming performance where I've gone, yes, that feels like Manchester United. We've absolutely annihilated them over a year.
There's been some good games, but we've never been able to control the midfield. I thought Barcelona at home was amazing.
2 games then?
No, that's going back further. Because if you're going to go back further, I'd say Spurs at home. Beaten was fantastic performance, but that's further than 12 months.
We've been at 12 months.
Whereas again, I couldn't name you a game under Mourinho where ever felt like
right, you make the point about Mourinho. There's a reason why Jose Mourinho's not got the Manchester United job anymore, which is the same reason why I'm saying Eric Ten Hag shouldn't have this Manchester United job anymore, because he can't get a tune out of him.
I feel more entertained watching
Let me ask you this
then.
Do you have confidence in Ten Hag? And I'll get to you in a minute. About you don't want Ten Hag, I get that, so we'll get to you in a minute. But you think we should stick with him?
Well, I mean, do
you have confidence in him to turn this around?
I just think that he's under this pressure now where he's got Ineos breathing down his neck. They're not football people, we know that.
Yeah.
They're not football people. You don't go into a football club and say, let's sack the canteen staff. You know, that's Jim Ratcliffe's idea of a working lunch.
Football people in, haven't they? Omar Barada's come from City, Jason Wilcox has come from Southampton, Dan Ashworth's come from Newcastle.
But it's going to take them a while, so this is their first year of looking at it. Now, things have got to happen. We've got to improve, otherwise he will be gone. But my worry is United. That's mine.
You can say
Let me turn that off. But my worry is we haven't got the Rooneys, even the Pogbas or anyone like that to attract big names to us anymore. Because, can you imagine, we want to get a big name, even though we paid over the odds for Casemiro. He's going, I'm going to be in a midfield with, Freddie New and McTominay. It's not world class. It's not like going into the United team when Varane joined, where you had Scholes, you had Keane, you had Beckham, you had Giggs. You know what I mean? It's a different era now. We are not very good. Other teams have got better players than us.
I disagree completely with that. On the basis that the players that we've got in the midfield, we might not have the elite and the best players in the world that we had under Ferguson. But we've got players that are capable of being better than they are at the moment. And that's the issue, is that there's a team there that should be scoring more than 5 goals in, 8 league games.
They've missed chances. We've not put chances away.
And we should
that's
we've
not
got
Eric
a team.
Ten Hag's fault. You don't say to Eric Ten Hag, how did Xerxes miss that one?
After so long, you have to point the finger at them. The same as last season, when the same mistakes kept happening about conceding late goals, as it did in Europe against Porto, when we're conceding so many goals within the space of 4 to 6 minutes.
7 minutes.
Whatever. The individual errors, I'll account for and say, okay, that's down to Rashford having a bad game. Okay, Onana had one bad game there. But when it becomes a trend, when that's happening throughout the entirety of the last 12 months, and there's points you could make reference to throughout his career, the problem has to lie with the manager. It just has to, because
let me ask you this then, because you're saying stick with him, give him a bit more time. Who would you like to see coming in then? Because obviously you don't want him staying.
I just don't think there's anybody that could do a worse job. Personally, if it was to me, I don't think that Ineos will go for him, but the manager out there with the best pedigree would be Thomas Tuchel, but he's a manager that wants complete control over transfers, and I don't think Ineos want that sort of conflict that they'll get with the manager that they would if they got Southgate. He would be a yes man and saying, okay, you give us these players, I'm not going to push back because I've been honoured with this job. So he's not an obvious replacement. Tuchel would be my shout, but
very negative though, I think, Tuchel. He's another Mourinho, isn't he?
But he's a proven manager though, isn't he?
Well, what did he prove at Chelsea?
He won the Champions League, Terry.
What did he prove there? No, I mean, he had all the money in the world, didn't he? He's not going to have that at United. He didn't win the league.
Is it so for you, Tuchel, if you had a choice?
Tuchel, and then I don't know, mate. They're going to have to. I think it'd be a wild card out there.
Would you have Ruud over Eric Ten Hag? Because I think Tuchel, despite the few murmurings, doesn't seem that likely. The most obvious one right now if they did decide to get rid of him. Maybe not now. Maybe they got rid of him after the next or during the next international break. We have these run of fixtures that are all winnable. If we go into the next international break, which I think is in November, which is just annoying, another one, and we'd had another poor run, there's a chance they might review it and go, okay, he's not that guy. Would be Ruud van Nistelrooy as a caretaker. Would you have him over Erik ten Hag?
At this moment in time, I think, yeah. Because although I can't see it as a long-term replacement, regardless if he does as well as Solskjaer did and they offer him a contract, because I don't think Ruud van Nistelrooy's he's only got a year's management under his belt. So he'd have to do a hell of a job if he was to take the reins under Ten Hag, to get a permanent job. But we need to get someone out there. I don't know. We were looking at Thomas Frank on the screen there. That'd be the sort of wild card that they'd have to look at. I just think change has to come now. To quote the great Sam Cook,
Thomas Frank or Thomas Tuchel or maybe Ruud van Nistelrooy. Terry, how much time do you give this manager? You're saying, look, just stick with him.
I mean, listen. At the moment, it's not even Christmas yet. I think we've got to give him till at least Christmas, then think again. But I don't believe in the squad. I don't think those players are are as good as we think they are.
Does he not have to take some responsibility, though, Terry? Because I understand your point, but there's no way on God's green earth that he didn't have a say in buying Anthony, for example. I'm not blaming him for the price, but he brought in Anthony, who is practically useless now as a Premier League player anyway. That is an attacker that you just cannot rely on. Xerxes, I'd be surprised if he didn't at least green light that signing, because he's a player from the Dutch league originally that you'd think he'd know. Again, he's not a goal scorer. Like, I understand your point that some of these might be Ineos signings, some of them might have been forced on him, but he must have had a say in some of them, and a lot of them have got a connection to him. Mason Mount was a signing that he more or less said he wanted.
That's a really strange one to me, Mason
Mount. And that's 60 million quid that he's got.
50 million? Why does everybody always add on an extra 10 million United buying anyone?
50 million quid, and no disrespect to Mason Mount, but it's not been valued for money.
I mean,
I know you're not his biggest fan, but
he runs around a lot. He's basically...
There's a lot of signings there that have happened on Ten Hag's watch.
He's basically similar to McTominay with a bit more ability, but more injury prone. Yeah.
So my point is the manager not got to take some responsibility for these signings?
I suppose he does. I mean, I kind of look at the side now and I think we're capable of moving. Sometimes there's been some nice passing moves this season. I see a bit of an improvement there. I thought we were a little bit unlucky against Spurs not to get a goal at some point. I thought Bruno shouldn't have been sent off, although the way he was playing, I don't know how much difference it would have made. Hopefully he would have played better in the second half. I thought even against Spurs, we weren't that bad. We just made some massive mistakes.
Mistakes have been there.
There's always mistakes,
Like the Liverpool game was mistakes, Spurs there was mistakes then, there was several mistakes by several players during all of those
But they're just nervous and lacking in confidence.
Where does that come from, though? That's the thing. It's not down to the manager to instill that in your team.
But that can come down from the ownership, from the top, that not creating a good atmosphere in the place. Because if you've got someone who's sacking the canteen staff, that affects the footballers as well, because they'll go, "Where's Mildred gone? Oh, she's not here anymore. We've got this new girl on a 0 hours contract." It's that kind of thing that affects the whole vibe and morale of a place. And then also, I think this idea that you've got Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Ineos didn't come in until the end of last year, though.
But it's the players that filters through to the players. You know, I mean, everyone's only human. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, sometimes that United shirt is too heavy for players. There's every chance that even someone like Anthony, if he went to some lower team like Everton, would be a star.
Is that not the case that the Man United manager's job is too heavy for some managers?
Yeah, but I think it probably was.
I think whoever's responsible for it, whether it's Ten Hag or Ineos, has made a massive, almost fatal mistake for this manager of not getting a goal scorer.
Well, I mean, you go back to Rangnick. The best football that season was Carragher's caretaker manager, I thought. But Rangnick,
those 4 games, whatever it was.
Rangnick was brought in as a kind of consultant.
Yeah.
And the consultant told them that they needed
open heart surgery.
Yeah. 10 new players, blah blah blah.
How many new players have we had?
And instead of listening to him though at the time and what he was talking about, I mean, listen, you know,
we've had 15. We've had 15. So that's open heart surgery plus half.
But again, Solskjaer wanted to sign Bellingham, Casado, what's his name, Haaland at City. Why weren't they signed?
Right, we can go back to Solskjaer as well as Mourinho, Terry, but the point is these players have either been green-lighted by Erik ten Hag or they've been pursued off the back of the player that he wants.
So let's say you get rid of Ten Hag, where do you get the money from? Because they don't seem to want to outlay it to buy all the players to replace them.
That's the point, though, isn't it? Are these players that are dwelling in 14th only capable of dwelling in 14th, or can another manager get a performance out of them? And that's my whole argument, is that we're not getting the best out of the players that he's got available, whether they're bad signings or not. And as terrible as Anthony is, and as wasteful as Bruno is, and as Rashford's not scoring goals,
Rashford is scoring goals this season.
Right.
He's back.
I know what you mean.
But
the lad is back.
Hopefully.
Believe.
I firmly believe that we are punching way below our weight, and if the players are lacking confidence or belief, or if the Man United shirt is too heavy for them, then it's the role and responsibility of the manager to instill the confidence and belief that when you pull that shirt on, when you play at Old Trafford, that you are playing for the biggest club in the world. Wait 1 minute, Terry, and you go out and perform like that.
So I'm Bruno, and I keep not being able to find a United
why is he still playing? He's playing shit.
Hold on.
But he's still shit, but he's still getting on the pitch.
You're the manager. You inspire me. Go on.
Get off the pitch. You're going to keep being wasteful. He's been
That's
shit.
not inspiring me.
It is.
That's bringing my mood down.
Bruno's been an issue this season. I personally just think it's as simple as he needs a break. He's played more minutes, I think, than almost anyone in Europe over the last 3 years.
So why is he not giving him a break?
Well, he might do now.
No, but the point is, Jay,
lots of reasons is his captain, he's hung his hat on him, he might be looking at him going, I'm going to give you another few games to see if you sort yourself out. He might think he's a good influence. Let me finish. He might think, you can't keep telling people let you finish and then interrupting everyone else.
Yeah, Scotty's like,
I know, let me finish. I'm interrupting you. He might look at it and go, look, in the past you've been a guy that's has got me out of jail before, so I'm going to rely on you to do it again. If it was up to me, it's not. I'd give him a breather. I think he needs a breather. I think there's a player there that's suffering from fatigue, and it pains me to see the grief that Bruno is getting, because I love him, and he's getting a lot of stick. Some of it's warranted, some of it's OTT. I think he needs a breather. I think the problem this manager's got, and I don't think he's going to get us out of it, I'll be honest with you, and I hope I'm wrong. If he stays, I hope I am. And I think the next manager's going to have the same problem, is you ain't got a goal scorer, and you're relying on Marcus Rashford to get back to the player he was. You're relying on Rasmus Højlund, as you said earlier, to hit heights he's never really hit. He
got 16 in his first season. I thought he did all right.
He did all right. I'm not trying to hate on the kid. I'm just saying you're hoping that he's going to kick on. You're hoping Xerxes, who's not an out-and-out goal scorer, is going to weigh in with goals. Or you're hoping maybe that Garnacho or Diallo can step up. That's my concern. Is that manager's got a problem he's got to
young
fix.
Players,
whoever the manager is.
The only thing I've noticed over the years with young players, they're a king one week and a clown the next. What you need is maybe, a bigger player like a Casemiro or someone like that to step up. But I just don't think we've got those players like we used to have. And what you don't want is a manager like Scotty coming in going, sort yourself out,
Maybe
son,
you do. Maybe you do.
Maybe you do.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know. You might need a bit more stick than carrot.
Okay, I'm going to PSG. You'll only get 20 million for me. Who are you going to buy for that?
Well, we'll see anyway.
Wout Weghorst.
Stop you right there. I'll have no Wout Weghorst slander on this channel. Thank you. One of our most successful signings.
I said that to my lads, though, during the Euros. I said, it's not very good for United, though. We've got this Xerxes and they're bringing Wout Weghorst
on ahead of him.
Yeah.
So Weghorst did well for Holland, to be fair. Listen.
Well, he did well for us. I think he helped.
You've just undermined all your points so far.
He helped Rashford score a lot of them goals.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
Bring back for Rashford.
There you go. That's the message. Keep Tenag, but bring back Weghorst. We'll see what happens. Thank you for that, Scott. I enjoyed that, and you, Terry.
He's like a City fan, isn't he?
Wow, there's no need for that. There's no absolutely no need for that. This is just two similar people.
He's like the lettuce section in the.
This is like that. You know that Spider-Man meme when they're both pointing at each other. This is what this is like.
People don't. Terry Christian's really a scouser. Right, I've been Scotty. That's been
wrapping it up now. Yeah. Right, you go and check out
Terry. News.
So, give me these mics. Let's just do this. Right, there we go. That's been Terry. That's been Scotty. I've been Jay. This has been Scotty and Mike. That's the first time I've ever done that. Thanks for watching.